Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to round 6 of the ChampCar iRacing series at Sonoma Raceway today. We're going to be doing a 1-hour race, it looks like, with 30-odd Mazda NC Miatas populating our grid today. By the looks of things, David Haynes has gotten in a fist fight with a kangaroo, so it'll just be me and producer Michael Derby on the broadcast today. But we're looking forward to a competitive race out here, certainly judging by the lap times that we're seeing so far. For those of you who don't know the track, we're going to be running the alternate layout that features the long sweeping carousel down into the drag strip here at Sonoma Raceway today, so it should be a good time, as well as the wide hairpin at the far end of the track. And it's looking like a balmy day out there, 22 degrees Celsius, about 76 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, 71 degrees Fahrenheit for our friends down south. And as I alluded to, a pretty competitive field out there today. We're just getting to the end of qualifying, but already we're starting to see some of the familiar names up at the front, as well as some less familiar. Mark McCormick, points leader and championship leader, is currently at the front of the field, driving that number 1 car around. And we've got John Wilding and John Hurley rounding out the top 3 for me, all of them within just about a tenth of a second of each other. So it ought to be pretty pointy at the front of the field. The ChampCar iRacing series, as always, existing thanks to the gracious support of ChampCar, with a great prize for all the drivers that are out here. $1,500 in Champ Bucks going to the winner of the series, as well as another $1,500 for a lucky competitor who manages to show up to at least 12 of the 16 rounds we'll be hosting this year. And yeah, it's been great racing, and I think a great bit of camaraderie, and for a lot of folks going out and jumping their cars, looks like it's some great fun too. So yeah, thanks folks, buckle up, and we will be getting to the racing in just over a few minutes here. As we fall along with the qualifying, it looks like most of the top end of the field has pulled themselves off the track. Track was getting a little bit warmer as we were continuing on, so there wasn't a ton of opportunities to find any more lap time out there. But I wouldn't put it past a few of them managing to clean up the lines in this last few minutes here on the track. We're following along with Alex Albert now. Albert, a 3-time champion of the series, has been recently passed last year by Mark McCormick, who managed to take it away near the end of the season. He's out, and actually I think going to be pushing pretty hard here on his final lap as he drives underneath the row with that checkered flag. He, of course, would love to get back up onto the top step of the podium after a bit of a slower start to the year. Been one of the few guys that's been able to give McCormick a push when we've been racing with him so far this year. Another familiar name in the top 5 that we've got is Tim Wire. Wire, of course, he's taken himself off the track, cooling down right now. But Tim's been around for a number of years, and he's had a really good qualifying effort today, in 4th place currently. So a strong showing from him. Albert's coming down to that hairpin at the end of the track. You can use all the track you want. It's the run back that's really important on this thing, and you can see that in the line that Alex has taken there, really straight lining it on the exit. And as the Miata comes up and then down through the S's, turn 8, 9, 10 there, you can see how this thing kind of gets put on the edge. Listening to the drivers in warm-up, it sounded like we were going to be having our typical one-stop race today, but also that the tires did experience some pretty significant fall-off, and it looks like Alex has boarded this lap. The tires were experiencing some pretty significant fall-off after the first 3 or 4 laps, so the fresh tires are definitely worth something, but once they get worn in, things tend to equalize a little bit, so expecting that we'll see some pit strategy come into play, especially if you do a big undercut or a big overcut. But folks on a typical pit strategy shouldn't have a lot of concerns today. And we're just following along now with Sean Saputra, the last car on track. Sean made it out just at the end here and managed to put in a qualifying time at the end. So that wraps up our qualifying session, sets the grid on pole as we thought. Mark McCormick has taken it again, driving that Whammo shiny metallic car. John Wilding in second place, a newer name to the series. I believe he was out at last round at Lime Rock Park, but not someone we've seen around a whole bunch, but showing some real pace out there. John Hurley, third place, longtime driver of the series. Tim Wire, as mentioned. Alex Albert, fourth and fifth. Another new name, this one from North Carolina. We've got Perry Ellwood in sixth. Andrew Cosick and Justin Hall are seventh and eighth. Ian Giebler and Shane Cameron are ninth and 10th. And I'm pleased to report that of the cars in the top 10, only one has qualified more than or outside of the 49s. So it looks like the front end of the field will be pretty pointy. Shane Cameron, followed by Lee Muleman and Brandon C. Marshall in 11th and 12th. Patrick Pursley and Scott Grinnell in 13th and 14th. Raymond Muratori, David Palermo in 15th and 16th. Got Greg Vandevert and Mark Kruger, 17th and 18th. Charles Kowalczyk and Andre Jameson in 19th and 20th. Jared Cubitt in 21st, Michael Thorne in 22nd, John Willis in 23rd, David Warden in 24th, Frank Simmons in 25th, Jerry Babinek in 26th, Jonathan Patterson in 27th, and our final car on the track and our final driver on the grid, Sean Saputra, racing in that Love Racing themed car. As the cars get lined up by the start-finish line, getting ready for their pace lap. You can actually get a good look here, looking at Sean Saputra on the grid. You can see the drag strip that features so prominently in the middle of the track here. Definitely a bucket list track for this Canadian up here. Got a long drive to get out to the West Coast, but I think it would be a pretty wonderful place to go. And a challenging track in this car as well. Was hearing from the drivers in the pre-race that the curbs are tough and inconsistent, but they're definitely where the speed is. It seems like this NC Miata likes to sort of unload the differential as it pops over the curbs and get a little bit of extra revs. And if you do it right, not too much, not too little, you can hit with a little bit of extra wheel speed as you bounce and land and get going pretty quick lap times if you do it just right. Field is starting to pull away. As always, we'll be keeping an eye on the chat and on the broadcast, so if there's anyone that you'd like us to check in on, any battles you're particularly interested in, feel free to shoot a message and we'll get to them. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on those points leaders as well. Mark McCormick out in the lead, but this is a 16-round series with 4 drop weeks, meaning that the 4 worst weeks from a driver aren't counted. And so with that, our drivers will have the opportunity to make up for some mistakes on a given week. And it means that even a latecomer like John Wilding joining in our 5th round has a shot at the overall points championship. So we can't rule him out, though he doesn't have any margin for error. That's for sure. See the cars turning into the infield portion of the track and heading down this big carousel. Long, sweeping, and slightly cambered, but the camber switches about halfway down and kind of pushes you off the edge of the track. Really easy to lose it on the way down the hill, and in fact we saw a few drivers in warm-up and in qualifying going up that inside slope on the inside of the track, not on purpose, not like the jump we saw, but actually just oversteering and then undercorrecting and ending that lap, that's for sure. And a sizable grid out here today, 28 cars to go around this track. Granted, it is a pretty long track out here, so if the drivers get spread out, we could see some sort of focus kind of becoming the name of the game. These NC Miatas, though, they do love to draft, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them uptight and close through the early stages of this race, that's for sure. And I think all the drivers in the top 5, heck, in the top 10, are going to be doing their best to hang on to Mark Mccormick. He's been the pace of the field so far this year as the pace car pulls into the pits and we get lined up into the hairpin. McCormick taking a big exit, or entry rather. It looks like he might be about to dine in there. Sure enough, he takes off down to this checkered, or to the green flag rather. See John Hurley and Alex Aubert getting a good start. Those two good buddies pushing each other. They get away cleanly, leaving John Wilding behind him. If you notice, Wilding kind of does something interesting into turn 1 here. We'll see if we can get a look at it a little bit later on. But a lot of variety in the lines because so much of it's contingent on how you jump the curbs. Seeing a lot of different approaches to some of the corners around here. Clean getaway so far. Some battling back in the pack. I'm seeing 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th kind of sorting themselves out. Greg Vandevert and John Wills are wheel to wheel back in 22nd and 23rd place as they head into the carousel. Ooh, and actually that's just sent Greg Vandevert off into Never Never Land. I don't know if he's going to be able to get that thing back from over there. He's lucky that there's geometry out there. Anyways, rejoining the pack. Still too wide at the back, though the fronts filtered themselves out pretty cleanly. Looks like all these drivers have their eyes on the prize, remembering that this is an hour-long race and we're still in the first minute of it. So a relatively uneventful first lap, but it does see Hurley and Albert go from 3rd and 5th on the grid to 2nd and 3rd. Perhaps some of that experience coming into play. I got to wonder if maybe Wilding was in the wrong gear based on how slow he was getting away. And Cossack already started to defend in 5th place there as he looks at Tim Wire in his rearview mirrors and decides, hang on, I'm not going to give you a chance with how fast you qualified. Real solid stuff here at the front of the field. No one's really given an inch. And as predicted, the guys at the front of the field are trying their darndest to hang on to the back of Mark McCormick there. Dive into that carousel. And you can really see if you get too wide, as Tim Wire kind of does on the exit there, you really have to give up some throttle on the exit. Otherwise, you're going to go flying off the edge of the drag strip. And so you give up some time on the way out. Heard more than a few drivers talking about how patient they had to be before they could get back to throttle. Otherwise, this thing just likes to push all the way out the exit of the corner. Seems like the iRacing simulator doesn't have these NCs nailed down quite as well as the folks in the ChampCar series do. Albeit these are based on the spec cars rather than the monstrosities, the creations that we like to make for ChampCar. This hairpin kind of shows off some of the interesting track limits you can get away with here. The only track limit on the inside of that corner seems to be the tire barrier. So If a guy wants to, he can really push it close, but it gets starts to get a little bit risky as you go for that little bit of extra time. Front end of the field spreading out, and Mccormick set a real fast lap, 48.8. Impressive out there. That's almost half a second faster than what he showed us in qualifying. Track temperature has remained more or less the same. Ooh, as John Hurley has a moment there on the exit turn number 4. Looks like, oh man, and another one. Looks like he's starting to feel those tires go away, and that'd be right on schedule. These things are good. Really got the shine on them for about 3 laps, but if you're pushing them really hard, using a lot of steering wheel angle, you can start to feel it. And John Wilding takes the move up the inside there and takes it away from Hurley, it looks like. Though Hurley's going to have the correct side of the track. We'll see if Alex Albert decides to favor one or the other. He's keeping it pretty fair. Ooh, he's giving it to Wilding now. Hurley's got the preferred line, though, up the inside, and he blasts it up there. Good stuff. Cuts off the other John. We were chatting in the pre-race, and I told John Hurley that there was Fast John, there was Medium John, and then there was another John deeper in the field, so it was going to be hard to keep track of them today. And so, of course, he's decided to go and put his car right beside the other John and make his case for being Fast John today. See how it looks in another 50 minutes here. But all this battling is kind of playing into the hands of Mark McCormick at the front of the field. His gap is sort of ever expanding up to nearly a second as we go across the line here. Ooh, and that looked like a big shunt there for Andrew Kosick in the Mostman car. Yeah, he takes a hit from that orange and green car there. That was Justin Hall. Oh, and that's a bummer for him. I know that those two have a lot of respect for each other. Hard racing, but it looks like Justin Hall was just a little ambitious getting up the inside there. The track seems so wide at that point. And actually a whole stack of HJ sort of affiliated folks here. We've got Justin Hall in that green and orange car. Shane Cameron running the more traditional livery behind him. And the third car there, even though it's wearing the same kind of yellow, is actually Perry Ellwood. After qualifying in 6th place, he's had a little trouble in the opening laps here, and he's dropped back a bit, all the way to 9th place. Be interesting to see where he shakes out. Like I said earlier, newer driver to the series, so I don't have a really good sense of where he's at. And by the looks of things, we've lost another one off the back of the field. I think that's Raymond Muratori that I'm seeing in the pit lane, and his car was crabbing badly down the straightaway last time by after his own incident into the hairpin where he got collected by John Willis. So that's a bummer for him. He'll take that fast repair though, and he'll get back in the action as soon as he can. ChampCar iRacing Series, of course, competitive, right? We got prizes on the line, but also a good little bit of community building. So we try to keep it fun and friendly for all the folks that want to get involved with sim racing, and kind of mirrors our own journey, here at HJBC. A lot of us folks started on the simulator, even in some of these very cars, and took that experience and brought it out on the track in real life. Just kind of goes to show how realistic the things have gotten today, and kind of adds up. We got, of course, John Hurley and John Wilding battling, and by the sounds of things, I believe John Wilding's team races an Miata, and so of course the experience in that car is going to transfer over to this one pretty well. It seems to be serving him well so far. And noticing another car in the pit lane there. It looks like Michael Thorne has just gotten dragged back to the pits after he and Sean Saputra got together going through turn number 1. Oh yeah, and that was a tough move. I got to put that all on Sean. Sean kind of stuck it up the inside, and those two lines converged on the exit every time, and Michael Thorne definitely got the worst of that one. I think Thorne's car is a write-off, and I think Saputra might just have a little bit of alignment damage. That's a bummer, though. Don't think that was either one's intent as they were heading into that corner. Checking in back at the front of the field, it looks like Alex Albert's keeping things pretty close with Mark McCormick. Hasn't allowed him to walk away too much just yet. A little bit deep that time into the hairpin, but notwithstanding. And this group seems to have really kind of separated themselves. They've turned themselves into a pack of four as Ian Giebler backs up and gives back what I've got to imagine is a slowdown penalty for cutting the exit of the pit lane, or the entry of the pit lane there, and lets Tim Wire by. Always kind of a question in these sorts of races with our single pit stop rules. You know, as the battle continues there, Tim Wire gets a little bit off and lets Ian Giebler back by. Always a question of how the pit strategy is going to work out. So sometimes being in the lead before the stop isn't always where you want to be. Real nice power slide there from Ian Giebler on the exit. That was really well controlled. Left Blackies all the way through turn 4 there. Really love how much yaw these things have as they go through the corner. And of course, those smiling Miata faces. Meanwhile, our battle for the lead looks like things are tightening up a bit. Alex Albert's managed to get right up on the bumper of Mark McCormick, and so too has John Wilding on John Hurley behind. Kind of pairing themselves off here. Be interesting to see if anyone decides that they got enough pace to justify going for the pass yet, or if this is just sort of the natural consequence of chasing the guy ahead. Alex gets a good run there through the hairpin. Good run off as well. Getting the draft down the front straightaway. It's a short straightaway here, though. Kind of hard to get too much done. Very much a one-line corner, I gotta say, through turn number 1. You can make it work too wide, but it costs a lot. And you can already see the dust sort of forming on the exit of the racing line as guys jump that curb on the inside and kind of kick it up on the exit. Hurley had a really good run there through 3. And just to get himself a little bit of breathing room from Wilding behind. And I gotta say, I think Alex Albert has Mark McCormick looking in his mirrors. Different approaches. Alex Albert gets it a little closer to the apex on the exit there. And up ahead, I'm starting to see some traffic starting to populate the road ahead, so that could be a factor too. Albert up the inside, even under braking, and he's going to first mark out onto that wide line that he was practicing in practice. So Mark will get the run here on the exit, but Albert's got enough that he's going to hold him off, and Hurley's right back in the picture too. Now this is a race here. We've seen Mark McCormick check out a few too many times in this series to not know what to expect when he's able to do that. But seeing Hurley now making a move up the inside here. Oh, and he brakes a little bit early. Oh, he brakes right on time. A rare mistake from Mark McCormick there, and he's dropped all the way back to 4th place. He's making it hard on himself. Another pair of cars getting dragged back to the pit lane by the looks of things. I'm seeing David Warden and Frank Simmons in the pits with their fair share of body damage. Walls are really close at Sonoma, and sure enough, those two found themselves in a bit of trouble as they were going through the first couple turns. McCormick, though, riding along and rejoining the backside of the battle that he was just leading. Now, luckily for him, even with that mistake, this group of 4 that is kind of broken away at the front has managed to make enough of a gap back to the next group of 4 of Dwyer, Hall, Cameron, and Ellwood They've managed to make enough of a breakaway that that mistake only cost him 4 spots, but I'm not sure that he can bank on that if he has another one of those. Time of day hasn't changed significantly, but we are seeing seemingly a lot of variation in the surface out here, and I guess that kind of makes sense given all the dust that we get on the track. Ooh, as Giebler gives up a spot to Wire and a spot to Hall there. Oh, and then Giebler takes it back on the exit. And then two little battle packs here kind of heating up for us. Yeah, and we're starting to see the clouds covering overhead, so we might get a few real smoking fast laps here. And the really switched on guys at the front of the field. Oh no, just seen an issue there for John Hurley, I think. Yeah, as he went through the hairpin that time, he got it kind of all sorts of wrong and ran it too deep, and that was a costly mistake. He also missed a shift on the exit. So between the deep braking and the missed shift, he dropped himself back to 4th place. That's a little bit painful for him. And that has really spread out our group of 4 at the front. Be interesting to see if those guys tighten back up, especially with a little bit of lap traffic up the road for them. They're starting to track down Charles Kowalczyk here. Kowalczyk, Carolina native, one of the only guys on the track so far to have taken a pit stop. So that explains his sort of position on the track. Yeah, but things have definitely quieted down in that group at the front. Luckily for us, we still got this group of 4 battling for 5th place. As we got Wire, Giebler, Hall, and Cameron all glued together again. And actually, if I'm a Wire at the front end of that thing, I'm kind of seeing little flashes of John Hurley up ahead. And starting to think about it. Ooh, and Justin Hall goes all 4 tires off right at the top of the hill there. That's a sketchy place to do it. Hard to bring it back. He does. Deep braking move there for Shane Cameron. Cameron and Hall pretty good buddies in real life, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the 2 of them race each other pretty hard. And you can also see that yellow car of Perry Ellwood kind of hanging off the back too, so with any luck here we might get a pretty sizable pack of guys racing shortly. Looking a little deeper in the field, I'm seeing a battle between Patrick Pursley and Andrew Kosick as they head through turns 1 and 2. Kosick, of course, having some troubles early on in the race. He's got the battle wounds to show it on the back of that shiny metallic most-win car. Looks like he's lining one up here at the inside. Turn 4, gets the job done. Nicely executed. Takes that one away easily enough. Kosick a bit out of position here after qualifying 7th. Those issues earlier kind of sent him backwards. Just taking that spot for 10th place by the looks of things. Another pair battling a little deeper down the field. But actually, let's check back in with the leaders. I'm seeing Alex Albert here catching Charles Kowalczyk and Michael Thorne, victim earlier in the race. Kowalczyk's pushing hard. He gets all 4 tires off. Alex Albert puts 2 off on the way behind him. And Albert will be praying for an easy pass here. Ooh, Mark McCormick had another issue there in the braking zone. Kind of locked it up on the way in. I think he's getting maybe a little bit caught out by the rapid variations in track temperature that we're seeing here today. Track temp now up to 82 Fahrenheit. Under that cloud it briefly dropped down in the 70s. And Albert's just found his way around Kowalczyk. And Wilding will be looking for his way around as well. Kowalczyk doing the gentlemanly thing, kind of getting off the racing line and giving the spot to Wilding. I'm trying to do the same for the Whammo car there of Mark McCormick as well. And we'll see if Mike Thorne is as easily passed here. Enjoy a Champ Car is that there's always someone for you to race with, and this series is no exception. So even the guys at the front, 20 minutes into this race, they're already having to take a look at who's around. And it looks like Kowalczyk's going to make it, or sorry, Thorne's going to make it easy on Albert. He makes it pretty easy. He doesn't give it all the way up, but he'll be moving out of the way now for Wilding, I got to expect as well, though it's kind of hard to get out of the way through this section of the track. Almost have to just follow, by the time you get to here. Wilding, of course, going to make a move, though, up the inside. Has to pinch it off a little bit on the exit. Trying to make it work around the outside here. Catching a little bit of draft, maybe. Yeah, and he takes the preferred line. Thorne gives him a little bit of room, gets out in the dirty stuff, and lets Wilding by. But that's definitely cost him a few seconds as we see a big slide there from Kowalczyk behind. Wow, all 4 tires off in the dirt. He was a few feet away from the tire wall. McCormick now seems to be going with a really interesting line there through the hairpin. I wasn't sure if that was a mistake at first the last time I saw it, but he's like diamonding the corner super duper hard, really pointing it all the way in. Hurley's now going to try and make his way past that traffic to Charles Kowalczyk, and Kowalczyk gives him the room. Takes nearly a lap, though, to get all the way through that pack and spreads him out a fair bit. If you're Alex Albert, you're smiling. If you're the rest of the guys, you're shaking your fists, I gotta imagine. McCormick now coming up on Thorne. And he'll be looking for a move here into the carousel in that shiny silver car. Thorne is racing his heart out, looks like. Definitely not making it easy. Blue flags are just informational, though, just like in the ChampCar series, so McCormick's going to have to earn it. He makes a move, crosses over, dives to the inside, and I think puts a little bit of fear there. Oh, and Thorne's holding around the outside. Oh man. Oh, McCormick. Hurts so bad. I think every person who's raced a Miata in ChampCar knows what this feels like, though. You pass the guy in the corner after 6 laps of trying, and then you get to the next straightaway, and he just roars on by you. You know what, folks? I have a feeling that I've just seen our wayward commentator show up in the chat there. Okay, no, never mind. Still no signs of David Haynes. I guess he's still fighting kangaroos out in the outback there. But yeah, that's been a costly one for McCormick. He's now 4 seconds of drift to the lead. Alex Albert kind of comfortably sneaking away there after getting through Kowalczyk and Thorne a little bit easier than the rest of the field has been able to. Wilding only 1 second back of Albert. He'll still be looking to make his presence felt. And now we got that second battle pack kind of starting to work their way through. So Tim Wire now coming up on the back of John Hurley, actually, who's been slowed down a fair bit, trying to get by Kowalczyk, who's still ahead of him, as well as Thorne there. So this whole battle pack will be kind of going through that same process that the one ahead just did. And they're plenty tight together. We've got Giebler, Hall, and Shane Cameron so close you can almost put a blanket over them. And they're going to be lining up a move. Wire, find him. I'm praying that these guys make it a little bit easier for me than the guys ahead, because they're battling for position, but so are you. Side by side ahead, Wire, Thorne and Kowalczyk going to make it 2x2 through the S's here by the looks of things. Kowalczyk gives plenty of room. Wire's now right up on his bumper. Marshals in the stands waving their blue flags. Ooh. Kowalczyk goes wide again. Not afraid of putting 4 tires off, that guy. Ooh, and eating some cones. He gives some room there. It looks like Wire's going to get by, and I think Giebler's going to take his shot, though. Yeah, Kowalczyk gets a better run, so no bueno there. No good luck for him. Kowalczyk now lifting on the straight, giving room to the rest of that pack. Smart move. Not a lot of opportunities for passing around this place. And things are glued right back up together again. So everyone from that yellow and black car back to the blue and yellow HJ car there, driven by Shane Cameron, all battling for position with a couple of lappers ahead of them. Wire goes 4 tires off. Kowalczyk goes 4 tires off. Both of them managed to gather it back up, dragging more dirt onto this surface though. And Hurley still trying to find his way around Michael Thorne now. Going to make a move up the inside here as we ride along on board. Thorne breaks a little bit early from that really inside position. Doesn't quite give it up, but gives up enough that Hurley is finally able to make it around the outside. And now it'll be Wire's turn to make his way past. Looks like everyone's having a good time out there, I'm not going to lie. It's always a great time to race the NC Miatas. You know, such a fun car, so well balanced. Ooh, and I've just spotted another one on the record. Ooh, wow, whew, that was close there. I think Thorne got a little bit wrong coming through, was that turn number 10 there, and he did his impression. Giebler had to take evasive maneuvers. Looks like he lost sight of Thorne a little bit on his inside there as they were going through the hairpin, and got back to throttle maybe a little bit early, so now Justin Hall's passing around the outside. But yeah, as I was mentioning there, we've just seen Jerry Babnick. The only other Canadian in here is Michael Thorne. But Jerry Babnick has unfortunately ended up somewhere in the wall along the way. I'm hearing from the producer that it was actually more of a money shift there. That's a shame for him. Thorne still trying to hold on around the outside as Hall makes his move up the inside. And I've known Hall to have a bit of a temper sometimes. I wouldn't be surprised if things are getting a little bit hotter in that race car than can be explained just by the general heat of a Sonoma race day. Giebler's going to try and make his move as Thorne chases Hall's draft. Giebler tries to make it work around the outside. He's taking that real wide line. Oh, Cameron gets real close to Thorne as well. Forced to take a bit of evasive action. I think he was a little bit surprised to find Thorne there at the apex. Bit of a closing speed thing there. Things are still tense in this group. And then things are also tightening up at the front. We're seeing Alex Albert, not 1 second gap. I've seen it dip as low as 7/10 as they were going through turn number 10 there. But it looks like Alex has done a good job through the hairpin that time and managed to stretch it out a little bit more. Either way, that 7/10 marker is pretty critical in these cars because I want to say it's right around there where you're going to start to feel the draft if you're the car behind. And as soon as John finds his way into Alex's draft, you have to imagine that he'll be right there, showing some real strong pace. Luckily for the two of them, it looks like Mccormick is still struggling behind him, almost 4 seconds back still, so hasn't really made any headway. But the two of them have certainly managed to grow the gap to that 4th through 8th place battle, it looks like. Hurley's kind of dropped off the back of the top 4 now, and he's more so a part of that battle for 4th through 9th by the looks of things. you know, turning into one of those little road race battles though. Half a tenth on this corner, 0.02 on that corner. And things are just seesawing back and forth a little bit. And it's showing the one lap pace wasn't the key here so far. Looks like having that long run pace seems to be a little bit more important so far. Also, you know, gotta start wondering, you know, who's fuel saving, who's not. 30 minutes into this race, don't know exactly how long a tank of fuel is going to last these guys, but generally they go about 30-40 minutes before they start looking for that pit lane. Be interesting to see who our first scheduled stop will be today as we tick over on our 16th lap around here. Things are maintaining pretty static between Alex and John, but I'm actually catching wind of the battle here now for 4th and 5th place between John Hurley and Tim Wire. And those two are starting to close things up. And you'll remember, Tim had a pretty formidable qualifying effort at the start of this race. I think the highest I've ever seen him qualify. Typically more of a sort of top 10 kind of guy, top 15, and found himself in 4th place in qualifying today. So currently running 5th. He'll be hoping to make up some ground on this red and black Dangers Out car of John Hurley there. Sorry, Danger Racing. Apologies. Mixing my team names there. Pinky's Out, Dangerous Racing. Yeah. Yeah, that was the name they ran in our last special event here. And checking back in at the front, Alex Albert and John Wilding are packing back up again as Mark McCormick goes all 4 off behind him. Catches it back though. And the two of them are going to be coming up on some lap traffic here, Rain and Muratori. But it looks like it won't be a factor as Alex Albert dives into the pit lane and John Wilding follows him in close behind, makes up a bunch of ground too. Alex Albert maybe not taking quite as many risks as Wilding was on the way through. And the two of them will be playing with that limiter all the way through as Mark McCormick slides on by on the outside. I gotta think I favor the undercut today. So if you know you'd like to save a little bit of fuel, but yeah, undercut seems to be the thing I would like out here. And Wilding, better qualifying spot, better pit box, so he'll be ahead of Alex Albert and actually in position to react. So if Alex Albert drops the fuel a little bit early, he won't have the advantage we usually do. Looks like there might be some different tire strategies going on. I saw the right side of Wilding's car go up, and Alex Albert only saw the left side go up. So yeah, it looks like Wilding's going with 4, and Alex Albert only went with 2. So a bit of a wily veteran move. A lot of times in these races you can get away with only doing 2 tires just so that there's a little bit of strategic variation. But we do know that those tires are worth a fair bit. It'll be interesting to see. Alex Albert comes out here and he's in a battle with Patrick Pursley. They're 2 wide as they go up to the top of the hill. And oh my gosh, that was really close. I saw rear tires lock up there on Pursley's car, and I thought we were seeing the end of Alex Albert's race. Grinnell's going to take a dive here now. Looks like he's going to give up the spot, but that could be some really critical traffic because we're now seeing John Wilding. He's going to have to pass 3 guys that Alex Albert has already dealt with. 4 guys even, as Alex takes a moment to pass Lee Muehlman. If I'm Wilding, I'm really hoping that the pit cycle forces those guys into the pits sooner rather than later. Checking back in at the new leader, who hasn't pitted yet, of course, Mark McCormick. He'll be coming by the pit lane this time. McCormick, a guy pretty friendly on that gas pedal for the most part. We've seen him do some pretty impressive fuel saving over the years, and he continues that trend, going a little bit longer, 18 laps for him at least. Tim Wire and John Hurley are hitting the pit lane now. Hurley and John have been connected throughout this race, and it looks like neither one gained nor lost on the way into the pit lane. Also seeing Justin Hall and Ian Giebler in that pit lane too, so a whole little convoy of cars going in there, pulling into the lane. And we're also seeing Andre Jameson in 23rd place pitting there as well. Ooh, and John Hurley had to back it up a little bit there. That's going to be a costly mistake for him. He's still a little bit ahead of wire on the pit stop. That sucks. Ooh, and this is actually a critical cloud, believe it or not. We've got some cloud cover right now, and it's right when the tires are freshest. And I'm not sure if this is going to do more to exaggerate. Oh, as we see Hurley get a slow exit there. And it looks like Cameron and Hall went for the 2-tire strat, and Hurley and Wire went for the 4-tire strat here. I'm not sure which one's going to pay off. I didn't hear anyone talking about this in the pit lane, so guys must have been keeping this pretty close to their chest. Maybe some, research in the practice rounds. But this cloud could prove to be really critical because the guys with the older hot tires that are a little bit lower on grip might be able to keep up a little bit with these guys on the fresh 4 tires that don't maybe have all the temperature and pressure in them just yet. Might be able to keep up a little bit better than they would be otherwise. The track temp dropping like a rock, 79 degrees Fahrenheit in my check, and they're going to be putting in some fast ones here, I gotta imagine. Wilding making quick work of Brandon C. Marshall just ahead of this group in that kind of Brandon C. Marshall running that kind of Red Bull stripy, camouflage livery inspired type of thing on his car. Looking a little bit worse for wear with a few bumps and bruises on it. But Albert, well and clear. He's got, looks like at least, oh man, how many seconds is that now? Looks like a 7-second lead, 8-second lead, back to second place. Gotta be feeling good about that one if you're him. And Hurley, and Hurley's making up some ground here on Giebler and Hall. Or sorry, that's Justin and Cameron. There we go, Justin and Cameron. As the two of them keep on keeping on. 24 minutes left to go. Pit stops sort of cycling through the field. Still got Andrew Cossack and Lee Muehlman running in the top 5, as well as Scott Grinnell, who hasn't pitted yet. So Grinnell and Wilding are actually racing for position on track right now, though it's going to be short-lived. It'll be interesting to see if Wilding's able to make short work of Grinnell here or not. He of course, has 4 fresh tires, so you got to think that the advantage is with Wilding. And we're seeing Wilding making that move up the inside of Grinnell there now. And the two of them are side by side through the carousel. And I got Giebler and Hall going down the hill as well, it looks like on the broadcast. Yeah, and at the exit of the corner there, we got Wilding now managing to pull ahead of ahead of Grinnell. Those 4 tires definitely coming in handy for him. These cars are all so evenly matched that, the only thing separating them right now is the tires. So if you got those fresh tires, you need to make them count. Mccormick finally brings it into pit lane as he takes over lap 20, so managed to go several laps longer than the other guys. Got to think that means he's got several laps less of fuel to take, so it'll be interesting to see if that's enough to account for some of the 4-second lead that Alex Albert had on him before the pit stop rather. And Albert will also be crossing the start-finish line here. Yeah, and Mark McCormick drops off the jacks and go, right as Albert comes by. Has to hold his speed until those green cones. The blue cones are just signifying the pit lane exit. So he's already full throttle, and he's got, who's that? Muehlman just passed him on the outside. Oh, and he's flashing now. Danger zone. That's not good. It's a little bit risky. Always a little bit risky, and you never know when you're flashing yourself. You gotta be said. Oh, as McCormick makes sure that he's going to hold on to that position, makes that defensive maneuver on the straight there. But that has definitely been advantage McCormick there, because Wilding, after having to battle through those other cars, is now, as well as taking that longer pit stop, he's a few seconds back of McCormick by the looks of things. Apologies, the dogs want to get on the broadcast today by the sounds of things. But yeah, Wilding has definitely lost out on that. He's got the fresh tires, and it will be interesting to see what those are worth at the end of this. But it's got to be said that he kind of got the wrong end of the pit strategy today. I think McCormick won on the fueling, and Alex Albert definitely won on the complete stop time. 18.9 seconds compared to 19.2 for Mark McCormick, and John Wilding, meanwhile, 24.2. So those extra tires cost him a fair bit. Cossack continuing on out there, still hasn't had to have a stop. Neither has Lee Muehlman, who was just overtaken there by McCormick. But Cossack now leading the race temporarily, of course, on pit cycles. And the closest battle that I got on track right now is actually two good buddies, Justin Hall and Shane Cameron, battling for 6th and 7th place. I think once the pit cycles finish, that'll be 4th and 5th place by the looks of things. And the two of them are actually coming up on Brandon C. Marshall in that lap traffic there with that Red Bull car. I'm not quite sure that I know what happened to Ian Giebler. I think maybe a little bit of a miscalculation on fuel, but for those keeping track, he's dropped down to 12th place after nearly a 30-second long pit stop. So maybe he opted to take some optional damage repairs, doesn't have his fast repair, something like that. Anyway, keeping up with our battle here, Justin Hall getting the run out of the corner, following Cameron in the blue and yellow car, as Cameron gets ever closer towards Marshall there. It looked like Marshall slowed it down a little bit more than Cameron was expecting. He kind of had to juke around a little bit under brakes. And tough spot here. A lot of time to be lost following a lapped car, but not a lot of opportunities to pass until you get down to the hairpin. Luckily for them, it looks like Marshall's got this section of the track figured out, and he's pulling away. Of course, Justin Hall's lining up Shane Cameron as well. Interesting. And we got Marshall peeling off and going into the pit lane. It looks like the two of them ought to keep it nose to tail. John Hurley, of course, peeking into the picture there as well in that red and black Danger Racing. He'll be a factor here, I got to think, at the end. So Muehlman stops after 21, and somehow Andrew Cossack still has this thing going after 22 laps at the front of the field. Definitely, of course, commentators curse talk about Cossack, and he goes and throws all four tires off on the exit. He's definitely suffering a little bit, maybe almost 8/10 down on pace relative to the rest of the front of the pack. But I mean, you got to think that he's saving a fair amount of fuel going this far into the race, so it might be a factor for him, getting that really short pit stop when this is all said and done. Alex Albert, our overall leader without the pit stop, is slowly closing him down. Now, for those of you with the stopwatches at home, you might be wondering, I'm seeing Alex Albert here dragging his way up towards Andrew Cossack, and he's got 6 seconds over Mark McCormick, who's effectively second place, and there we see Andrew Cossack peel off, so this will be Alex Albert taking the real lead here. But yeah, he's got 6 seconds back to Mark McCormick, and then another 2 seconds, so 8 seconds total back to John Wilding. But it needs to be said that John Wilding is the fastest of the three over the last 5 laps. So, but that was a quick one there from Alex Albert. But if John Wilding is able to keep up that pace, there's 17 minutes left. It'd be a long shot, but once some of the nice comes off of these tires up front, he could definitely make himself a factor for Mark McCormick, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see the two of them getting up to the front there. That was a scary moment there from Michael Thorne, and I think that was Michael Thorne, and looks like John Wilding. Yeah, John Wilding, as he was overtaking Thorne there. Thorne's been Say again? Well, and looks like John Hurley has found his way past Justin Hall in this battle that we've been kind of checking in on here for those positions going from looks like about 4th back to 7th place, and sure enough, 7th and 8th place actually are being contested here as Tim Wire gets the better run onto the drag strip, and he and Justin head down into the hairpin. Real tight stuff, and Justin just delayed his turn in enough that Hurley had to have second thoughts there and back it up a little bit. Running that Salins themed car looks real nice. A little departure from his usual cheese sponsorships, though, it must be said. Not seeing the Swiss holes that I usually see on his car. But you know, I guess maybe staking his claim about which one is his favorite. John Hurley makes a move up the inside of Shane Cameron there, and does it well. Looks like he's going to get the run on the exit 2. Cameron jumps in behind him, eager to suck up on that draft. He thinks about going outside, and Hurley gave him room to do it, but it was exactly one car's width, and it would have been very brave. Cameron might have lost a knee doing that. And Hurley's going to use that wily experience to make his way ahead now. So that's I think Hurley's more or less taken every single spot out of that group of 4. And he'll be looking ahead. 9 seconds up the road from him, of course, John Hurley is there. John Wilding is there. And this John and John battle, can continue on. Especially if McCormick and John Wilding manage to make themselves compete with each other before the end of this thing. Ooh, and that was a exciting line from that lapped car. Well, that's Michael Thorne again behind John Wilding. But yeah, you can see Wilding kind of showing some pace here. His average over the last few laps almost 0.6 better than Mark McCormick, and matching that of Alex Albert. So we'll be keeping our eyes on the stopwatch for those battles for sure. Give you an update if they ever close up. Hurley and Cameron, meanwhile, doesn't necessarily look like it's completely settled. Cameron's gotten a good line there through the hairpin that time, really cutting it close to those tires stacked up on the inside of the corner, and not quite as close as the last time through here, but certainly not letting Hurley get away from him. It's Cameron. And that could be an important factor here, because we've got our favorite back marker, Michael Thorne, up ahead here, who is doing us the great service of racing everyone equally. I can respect that a little bit, especially here from the commentator's position, because it makes variety's the spice of life, right? So it will be interesting to see what this shakes out as here. Looks like Cameron takes a look up the inside there. Really tough. It feels like it should be an overtaking zone as you're heading into that braking zone at the top of the carousel. Like, it feels like, I could just go like 2 feet further than the guy beside me, the guy ahead of me, and really make up some ground. But because it drops away from you so fast, it can just be so difficult to actually find enough grip to make any sort of move. And Thorne now right in front of these guys. And Tim's cheering for Thorne to make it difficult for them. Of course, he's a few seconds back now. Ooh! Oh, and that got scary there for a second. Hurley tucked it nearly sideways. Cameron makes a little bit of contact. I think he managed to tap both of them. Oh, well. The both of them got past the guy, got past Thorne there, so that, at least they got that going, and I don't think either of them suffered any actual damage to the car, so, all's well that's end well, but that was certainly a spicy few seconds there. I bet you the onboard in Hurley's car looked pretty excellent. And now Tim Wire, because of that little bit of awkwardness on the pass, now Tim Wire is right back up in this battle. So if he can find a way to dispatch Thorne, who's taking the defensive line here, if he can do that, it'll be a tight battle. Oh, and Thorne looked like he was kind of lifting a little bit on the exit, and Wire was kind of tracking all the way up. Thorne was trying to keep it on track. Either way, that was some pretty solid contact there from Tim. Does look like the front end has popped itself back out there. Luckily for him, no real damage that I can see there. Managed to bend up the back end of the Thorne car pretty good, but no, nothing lost there for Thorne. He doesn't have too many other people to battle with out there. And I think that's kind of washed. It looks like Wire is still he's maybe a half a second closer to the guys ahead than he was before that all went down. So, pretty even all things considered. I'm looking for some other battles in the field here, as McCormick and Wilding are still pretty well separated. I'm seeing, what am I seeing? I'm seeing Scott Grinnell and Patrick Pursley giving each other a side eye as they race around. Sean Sputcher actually just put a pass on, looks like Greg Vanvert, and then Vanvert made a bit of a mistake and slid off. Yeah, so let's hang with this battle between Pursley and Grinnell for a minute. Two of them have been doing a pretty consistent race. One qualified 13th. Grinnell currently running 13th, qualified 14th, and Kruger qualified 13th, and he's running 14th. So the two are very evenly matched, qualified within a few hundredths of a second of each other, and both of them having almost identical races. 3-second difference in the pit lane. They both had 6 incidents until Pursley just put 2 tires off there on the exit of 9. And they've been having some quality racing back here in the pack. The nice thing about the ChampCar series, of course, as we love to mention, is that regardless of your skill level and regardless of your commitment level, you are always welcome as a ChampCar member to come out and race with us and get involved. Get to know the folks in the community. It's a great way to dip your toes in real racing, and if you are fast enough, I can tell you that there's more than a few car owners in this field that if you impress the right one, well, they might be willing to cut you a deal on some seat time and get you out there on the real thing. That's how I got my start racing with Alex Albert in that huge ass racing car, and he threw me out on the track and trial by fire, and it worked out. So good stuff here, and this battle between Pursley and Grinnell looks like it's maintained in kind of a pretty static separation. Shane Cameron and John Hurley are back together again, though, at the front, 4th and 5th place. They're battling over, and doesn't look like reaching the next John is going to be part of the story of this race for those two. But the way that they slide those things into turn number 1 will never get old to me. Hurley using the whole track, making sure that he's getting the best line possible, best run off the corner. Cameron just sticking it as close to him as he can, putting that pressure on, just heaping it on the guy in front. Really nice onboard shots here. 7 minutes to go in the race. This is going to be a tight one for the back end of the top 5 here. Those of you watching the ticker at the top, Alex Albert's still holding the lead, 5.5 seconds ahead of Mark McCormick. John Wilding, another 3 seconds back of that, 8.43 seconds. We'll let you know if anything changes up there, but in the meantime, John Hurley and Shane Cameron is definitely the closest battle we got in the top 10. We're really seeing how tough it is to just make any sort of move around here. Hurley had a real nice line there. Looked like Cameron maybe took a smidgen too much curve and just wasn't able to get the power down the same way as Hurley was through there. Wonder if that's where the big difference in their laps has been. Cameron seems to suck up a little bit through the hairpin, but every time they get into the high speed sort of transitional stuff, Hurley manages to make a little bit of a gap, and it makes for too little room too far away for Cameron. Now there is potentially a little bit of hope on the way for Cameron, though. Looking up the field, I'm seeing Jonathan Patterson currently running 27th place. Some lap traffic about 2 laps down could become a factor here. And that's the 63 car of his that we're seeing. Hurley and Cameron still going at it. And Wire's kind of been biding his time, just waiting for the opportunity. I have this feeling that if Hurley and Cameron get a little too spicy in their battle, Wire's going to be more than happy to snap up that 4th place and the valuable points that go along with it. Great stuff here. 2 guys just really driving these things to the edge on old tires. And it looks like they'll have another lapper. That's David Palermo driving slow on the racing line. That car's looking like it's got some real suspension damage. Ooh, that's gotten a little spicy. He gets it out of the way. Hurley had to do a little bit of a lift, though, and this was kind of the spot where Hurley was making a lot of time on Cameron. Cameron might be sensing an opportunity here. It's going to have to be a late move if it's anything, though. Looks like pretty standard braking for the 2 of them. Cameron does a little bit better job getting into the apex. He's going to make up some time here on Hurley. Hurley gets the better run off, though. Gaps at the front are still the same. 4 minutes to go. Alex Albert looking at 3 laps away from glory. Keeping our eyes peeled on this battle. That's a long way off from our lapper, and he goes out all the way into the grass. Makes plenty of room there. Jonathan Patterson deciding he doesn't want to affect the battle this late in the race. An honorable decision by him. Wire, of course, will be very disappointed by that. He's going to have to find a little bit extra to make up that 2-second gap to the guys ahead. Hurley runs a little bit wide, gets in the dirty stuff on the carousel, but manages to dive it back down to the apex. And I think Cameron got back to throttle a little bit early. They nearly swiped each other in the middle of the corner there, but Cameron did not quite have the same run off that Hurley did. It really seems to be the tale of 2 driving styles in some of the corners right now. Cameron seems to be a little bit more willing to get on the brakes sometimes, get it in a little bit deeper than Hurley, and then meanwhile Hurley seems to be just really setting the car up nicely for those exits and using the curbs a little bit better, certainly through this section of the track. Not quite having to lift as much as Hurley as they go over the crest, and Cameron lifting a little tap on the brakes to make it work. 2 to go at the line. Real close. Interestingly, Cameron kind of mirrored Hurley's line that time. Not sure that was intentional or just how it worked out, but opts for the slightly wider line. Keeps it off the curb. These 2 are going to make it interesting. And my spidey senses are tingling. I think Justin Hall and Ian Giebler are getting a little bit closer as well, so we might have another battle inside the top 10 here yet before the end. Cameron's glued to him. This is going to come down to a late lunge, I have a feeling, if Cameron wants to make it work. Cameron, I believe, working on, is it a, my producer will remind me, it's a Camaro Trans Am. Oh, as he makes a move up the inside here. Hurley really seems to prefer this really late apex, but if you get back to throttle too early, it becomes a no apex, and that's always a dangerous thing to do in a corner. Cameron dives back across the track, realizes they're on the drag strip, so we might as well get a draft while they're at it. Hurley takes the defensive in. There you go, it's a Barber formula. Firebird formula, my apologies. That makes more sense than a Barber car. And Giebler and Hall are now glued together for 7th and 8th place. We'll check in on them if anything gets spicy over there. Cameron still hasn't found a way around, though. Interestingly enough, these guys are both running, the same kinds of lap times. Just circumstances kept them apart so far this race. Cameron nearly kisses the back end of Hurley on the way out of that corner there. Gotta wonder if he's doing that on purpose, maybe trying to find a little bit of wheel spin for the guy in front. 1 lap to go, that's a white flag for them. Justin Hall manages to hold off Giebler through the hairpin as well. These two, you can't even see Shane Cameron behind Hurley. He's so close to him. Oh, and there's going to be some lap traffic up ahead too. That looks like Greg Vanvert. No, Charles Kowalczyk could be a factor here. Love racing. Sloppy exit there out of 4 for Cameron. Wasn't able to get it as close as he probably would have liked. Justin Hall goes all 4 tires off, but he's going to hold it. Parks it on the apex a little bit. Giebler staying behind. Hurley, meanwhile, too wide now with Cameron. Cameron taking that inside line. Hurley's been getting the better run. Cameron really pinches off his exit. I think that's going to cost him. Hurley, though, staying way to the inside. Brakes real late. Cameron gets a better move through the apex, but it pushes him out wide because he has to leave some room for Hurley. Oh, that could be the end of it. Justin Hall holding off Giebler as well. Charles Kowalczyk here, looking like he might be a factor. Hurley gets that excellent run, though, through the corner, and we see Alex Albert cross the start-finish line as he comes onto the hairpin. He's going to be crossing the line, taking a win. That'll be one that he's feeling good for. Alex Albert's actually out of fuel. He's shaking the car, but he's managed to get it across the line. Mark McCormick crosses in second, John Wilding in third. Hurley and Cameron. Cameron has to give up a little bit on the exit, and Kowalczyk doesn't give him enough space to really make an effort there. Giebler and Hall are still glued together, and Hall's got a good run coming out of the last corner. He's going to try and go the long way around. It's a tough way to go around here. Oh, is he going to get space? He's got the momentum, not quite enough time, though, when it's all said and done. And that's going to be Ian Giebler, who takes the spot away from Hall on the final lap to secure 7th place. Really good stuff there. Perry Ellwood crosses with a respectable 9th place finish. Andrew Kosick coming now to the line in 7th. And I think we've seen a few... no, that's Kosick taking 10th, Lee Muehlman in 11th. We got Brandon Marshall coming across in 12th, managed to unlap himself when it was all said and done. Scott Grinnell, 13th. Yeah, there you go. It looks like Grinnell, Pursley, and Kruger are still all together here. Last group of 3, that battle we mentioned earlier. Kruger taps it off the wall. That's a shame for him. He will not be taking it, and Grinnell's going to hold on. 14th takes 13th away from the 13th place qualifier in Pursley. Great racing. That was some good stuff. Really commanding performance there. And interested to get the inside scoop on how that finished there for Alex. It looked to me like he was sloshing it back and forth as they crossed the line. Mark McCormick, only 2 seconds back of Alex Albert, made up nearly 2 seconds on that final lap. John Wilding, 3rd place, 5-6 seconds back from Alex Albert. Rounding up our top 5, we got John Hurley and Shane Cameron. Tim Wire losing that part of that hard-fought battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th place. Ian Giebler, Justin Hall, Perry Ellwood, Andrew Kosick, that's your top 10. Muehlman, Marshall, Grinnell, Pursley, Kruger, Vandevert, Saputra, Kowalczyk, Cubitt, and Willis rounding out the top 20. And as we head into the final classification, David Warden, our last car, lap down, 21st, Jonathan Patterson, 22nd, Raymond Muratori, 23rd, Michael Thorne, keeping things interesting for us in 24th, David Palermo, 25th, Andre Jameson, who suffered a hardware error from what we've heard and put him into the wall, 26th, and Jerry Bavinick and Frank Simmons taking a DNF tonight, unfortunately not completing half of the race distance. Well, thank you very much, folks, for sticking around. And if you stick around a little bit longer, we're going to see if we can pull some of these folks into the booth for an interview. We'll pull our third place finisher here, John Wilding, into the booth for our first interview. John, looked like you asserted your dominance as the faster of the three Johns today. How are you feeling about that one?
Yeah, anytime I can beat another John is good. I'm sure the other John's are real nice guys, so I can't say too much. But a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying the series so far, and just got to figure out my pit strategies. That's where I lost all my time.
Yeah, we saw your right side go up, and we saw Alex's not, and we were wondering if you had a sudden moment of terror there when you were sitting in the pit lane.
Yeah, what happened is I did my first practice race last Wednesday, and I did not take tires. And I felt like it hurt me, so I figured tonight I would because I assumed everybody else did take tires. But I chose the wrong strategy. But hey, a podium's great, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, it was a great effort out there today. Relatively new to the series, John. What brings you here?
Well, started racing ChampCar in real life a while back in about 2016, and I saw the series come up, and I've just recently gotten back into iRacing for the past year and a half and figured I'd give it a shot. And it's been really cool because I got to meet Alex, Kruger, and a few other guys at Daytona. So it's really cool to be sim racing with the guys you race with in real life. So yeah, it's been really fun.
Well, we're glad to have you out, and we're glad to have another guy who can challenge at the front of the field. Well done out there today.
Thank you so much. And you guys do a great job. So really, really appreciate it. Good job.
Take care.
Thanks.
We'll head to the next step on our podium, which is Mark McCormick. Mark McCormick, a solid effort out there from you today, and looked like it even got a little bit closer there at the end. How was that race for you?
Oh, it was good. Congrats to Alex. He ran a really clean race. Once I lost the draft from a back marker battling with me for some reason, I just couldn't make up the difference and catch up to those guys. I think the only reason I ended up in P2 is because John I think he probably took 4 tires instead of 2. So free position there. But yeah, dude, I just had nothing for Alex.
Yeah, it looked like you were pushing hard, and yeah, sure enough, you're right. We were just talking with John there, and he mentioned that you got him on the pit strategy. But a really solid effort out there today. Any other sort of major moments that I'm not remembering?
No, just a lot of understeer and having to park the car so I can get it turned, and angry gas pedal, just frustrated with all the understeer. But it's all good. I'll take the points. And once again, congrats to Alex.
Well, thank you very much, Mark, and a great effort out there for you today. We saw you struggling with the front end of the car a little bit, but it did not impede your great pace, as always. So anyone you need to thank for tonight?
Man, you guys for putting this on, and I'll see you next week.
See you later, man.
Adios.
And we'll finally bring Alex Albert into the booth. A commanding victory out there for you today.
Thank you.
It looked like things were pretty tense there at the front, but after the new came off the tires, it seemed like you found a little bit extra.
Yeah, I was just doing a lot of focusing today about my goals. It's something that Ross Bentley talks about in Speed Secrets. So I was just trying to break down the race into small goals, and starting with get a good start, stay with the leaders, that type of thing. And then there was even times where I felt my concentration slipping, and I would just concentrate one corner at a time. I would just think, I need to slow down here. I need to make sure I touch this curb. Don't touch the gas before I can see this. And just tried to keep my head down and plugging away. It's a really tough track. It's really slick, lots of blind corners, lots of elevation change. And there's a couple places where you have to be really careful. You can carry too much speed, push off just a little wide. It feels like you're carrying the speed, and you are carrying speed, but you just can't make it off the corners. So I guess I just tried to focus on those spots. The last time I was in contention this season for a win, I threw it away by losing focus. So just really wanted to turn around that track.
Well, it definitely showed out there today, and it was looking like a pretty close race right up into the pit stops. But then we heard from John that some different pit strategy there came in for you. Did you see that as it was happening?
Yeah, I know John Wilding's one of the newer drivers of the series. Glad to see him on the podium. He's a nice guy. Good to meet him in person about a month ago. I think he's just not quite tuned in on the fuel strategy yet. I noticed last week in the practice race he lost a bunch of time. I was worried he might have that tuned in this week. Last week I think I had him on long run pace, but this week he started to draw me in as we got closer to the stop, so I was worried that he maybe had the pace advantage. Luckily I still have the boys from HJ punching on the calculator and doing my stops for me, so we were one of the quickest, I'm sure, and didn't lose anything there. But I'm sure the level 1 boys will get out their math books and sharpen up their pencils, and they'll get some tighter stops here as the rounds go on.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get any more freebies from him. And then it looked, maybe I caught this wrong. I couldn't tell if you were celebrating at the end or were you shaking some fuel into the tank?
No, yeah, I was. That was a little bit of celebration. It's been a while since we stood on the top step here in the ChampCar iRacing series, and like I said, threw one away at the Daytona round right before, and luckily I was able to redeem it that weekend. But I'm not going to Sonoma this weekend, so there was no room for a second chance. So just now, want to put myself in the position and not let it slip away. Mark's a tough driver. He's really quick. I know he doesn't have a lot of time here at this track, so probably had a bit of an advantage on him. But try to give him a good run here the rest of the season. Got a few tracks that I feel pretty good about coming up. So we'll see how the summer swing goes.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, congratulations, man. Anyone you need to thank for tonight's race?
I just want to, thank all of, the QGS partners that have helped get our car on the track this year. We went and tested this week and shook it down. Some of our friends at Flim Flam Speed and Huggins Racing have been instrumental in that. And so I want to thank all of them and thank the HJBC crew for showing up and putting in a good shift.
Well, thank you very much for coming out and putting on a great show for us today. And with that, folks, we're coming to the end of the broadcast. Thank you very much for coming out and supporting the ChampCar iRacing Series. Round 6 at Sonoma. We're looking forward to Round 7 at Watkins Glen, which will also feature the NC Miata for 2 hours on May 25th. And we've got exciting rounds coming up all over the place. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, I'm cheering for that one. Looking forward to it. We got VIR on the schedule. We got COTA. We got Laguna Seca, Mid-Ohio, Road America, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, another round at VIR and Sebring. It's going to be a great season. Plenty of battles remaining. And big thanks to Michael Derby for producing. This is Devin Peters signing off.